Gentlemen, I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to look at my sixth favorite tank. Of course, coming in at number 7 was the E3, and today we are going to look at number 6. So again, we're going to drop down the tiers. We're going to go back to tier 7. Excuse me. This time, it's not so much a premium, but it is. It's a collectible tank. Unfortunately, it's not a tech tree tank, but it is this tank right here. And even though it is one of the most broken tanks in the game, I still have to add it. You know, it's a tank that I really, really love since the day it was released. In fact, before it was released, because I got to play this tank on a test server before anybody else. Literally, I was like the first person to play this tank. I see it. I wasn't actually supposed to have this tank on my test account, and I see it and I thought, okay, wow, it's a premium KV2. I played it and I thought, okay, this isn't right. I actually messaged Wargaming and said, guys, I've got this tank on my account. I've played it. You need to get rid of it. You cannot release this tank, honestly. And they were like, why? What's wrong with it? So I told them, of course they released it anyway. They didn't listen. But yeah, so before the tank was even released, I told Wargaming not to release it because it was too broken. Now look what you've done, Wargaming. But it is still, I'm glad they have released it because it is a fun tank to play, especially when you can wreck the enemy with a one shot. It is a KV2 on steroids. The KV2 has literally become obsolete as soon as Wargaming released this. In fact, they released this and then they nerfed the KV2 to make it even shittier. So yeah, it's a mega fun tank to play, especially, again, like a few tanks in this list. If you play 2 of these in a platoon, wow, it is fun. It really is fun. So the stats, I mean, the stats are not bad on the tank either. It's not just one of those heavy tanks that can delete you, that has bad DPM or anything like that. In fact, the stats are not too bad. So the turret is 150 millimeters, the hull is 120. So at least you have some armor, especially on that turret. You can't rely on the armor. It's not like fantastic, but you have some armor. The DPM 2356, which is actually good for a KV2 kind of tank. The KV2 has really poor DPM, but this actually has a decent amount of DPM. So your reload time is 16.5 seconds. Just about. Penetration 147 on your AP. Now the AP pen sucks. It really does suck. And to be fair, if you look at my ammo loadout, I only load 8 AP. The rest are all heat and HE. You shouldn't really be using your AP. The odd time, yeah, but you shouldn't use that much AP because it sucks so much. You shouldn't be using it. It's all about the heat and it's all about the HE. Heat pen 275, amazing heat pen, really amazing heat pen. In fact, that heat pen is more than some tier 8 tanks. So the heat pen is fantastic. 94 on your HE as well. So unless you're going to come side onto tanks or behind tanks, if you come frontally, you'll be using mostly heat. So yeah, use more heat, load more heat, then you have your normal AP, trust me. So you've got a 640 alpha on your AP, 545 on your heat, and 960 on your HE. Aim time, yeah, of course, is bad at 4.6, the same as the gun dispersion at 0.407. In fact, it's actually better than it seems. Yeah, it seems like it sucks, but you'll be surprised at just some of the shots that you hit. Like, it's crazy how some of the shots that you fire hits. You look at it after and how the hell did I hit that? So yeah, sometimes you are surprised when you do hit a target. But there's other times where you're like, that should have hit. And it just went literally to the next map. You only have 6 degrees of gun depression, so you can't rely on that gun depression. And you only have a top speed of 34 kilometers per hour. So again, it's one of those tanks that, of course, you want to come up against tier 6s. You really do want to come up against tier 6s because the majority of them, you will be able to HE, believe it or not. You will be able to HE. If you can get side onto tanks, that is where you will have a lot more fun driving this tank. Coming around a corner and there's a tank that is facing the other way, you do kind of rub your hands together. In fact, you need to keep that guy looking the other way for a little bit longer, because you do normally put your device down, rub your hands together, and then you fire. So you don't want them turning around whilst you're rubbing your hands together. Yeah, it's when you could do 1,000 damage plus in tier 7, I mean, this guy, we do mess up. I'm not going to lie, we do mess that shot up. But we still managed to do 500 damage. But we should have been able to almost kill that guy. If we would have just aimed properly, at least we managed to hit him. You know, we snapshotted it a little bit, and we still managed to hit him with the HE, and we still done 500 damage. But then you get shots like this, like, that was my fault. That wasn't so much the tank's fault, that was my fault. So, yeah, because of the HE, you really want to come up against tier 6 tanks. If you come up against tier 8s, then yes, you're not going to do as much HE damage, but you will be able to do a lot of heat damage. So we're going to come up and look at this. Look at all this juicy targets. Boom, 948. Now, unfortunately, these guys started to turn, and yeah, I'm now in a bit of trouble. So, the things with tier 8s, you're not going to be able to do a lot of HE damage to them, but you will be able to penetrate pretty much anybody that comes in front of you with that heat. However, if you use the AP, you won't be able to penetrate them. So it is one of those that the AP, honestly, does really suck. And honestly, I don't use that many AP. A couple, maybe a couple of times I might use the AP, but the majority of the time I'm either using that heat or I am using that HE. But of course, if a tier 8 tank like that comes out side on, then yeah, you can use the AP. To some tanks you still can't penetrate them side on. So the majority of your shots will probably be either heat or just to splash someone with the HE. So just 2 tanks left alive, just the 53 TP there and the VK168. But it's always going to be up there in my top 10, no matter how long. In 10 years time, as long as this doesn't get nerfed, it will always be in my top 10. At one point, it was one of my favorite tanks in the game. Pretty much like when this tank was first released and no one had it, no one really knew what it was like. And yeah, you delete someone, then yeah, that was probably one of my number 1. But now people know how to deal with it. They will focus you before they focus anyone else. But it is a mega fun tank to play. You can annoy and make people frustrated with this tank. And if you play it in a platoon, again, as I've said, it does become a lot more fun. A lot better when you can wipe 2 tanks out together. And yeah, it's fun. I would definitely recommend it. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Smasher. I know people's thoughts on the Smasher. They don't want it in the game. They think it is too broken. But other people are like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't bother me. But I don't honestly think a tank like this should exist. It does exist. We need to move on. And I'm still going to have fun playing it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But for now, I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm meadsyreplays, and I will catch you all tomorrow for tank number 5. With